The signal that summoned the Deathworlder fleet crosses into alien domains. The distress signal pulsed through the void like a dying heartbeat, its frequency ancient and unmistakable. Commander Thane stood on the bridge of the Terran battlecruiser Vindicator, watching the holographic display paint the signal's path in stark blue lines across the star chart. The message had originated from deep within Galactic Coalition space, a region where humans were forbidden to tread. "Sir, the signal matches our old colony beacon from New Haven," Lieutenant Torres reported from her station. The colony that went dark 70 years ago. Thane's jaw tightened. New Haven had been humanity's first attempt at establishing a foothold beyond the quarantine zone the Coalition had imposed after first contact. When the colony had vanished without explanation, the Coalition had claimed it as proof that humans were too primitive, too dangerous to be allowed among civilized species. They had labeled Earth a death world, and its inhabitants as Deathworlders, creatures too violent and unpredictable to integrate into galactic society. "How many ships can we mobilize?" Thane asked, already knowing the answer would determine whether humanity would finally challenge the Coalition's authority. "The entire Third Fleet is within jump range, sir. 47 vessels total." Torres paused. But entering Coalition space would be an act of war. The bridge fell silent. Every officer present understood the weight of this moment. For 7 decades, humanity had been confined to a small cluster of systems, watched and contained by Coalition peacekeepers who viewed them as barely controlled savages. The Coalition's member species, evolved on gentler worlds with lower gravity and more stable climates, could not comprehend how anything survived on Earth, let alone achieve spaceflight. "Send the authorization codes," Thane commanded. "All ships are to converge on these coordinates. If our people are alive out there, we're bringing them home." Within hours, the assembled human fleet gathered at the border of Coalition space. Sleek destroyers flanked massive carriers while nimble corvettes wove between the larger vessels like predatory fish. To human eyes, it was a modest force. To the Coalition observers monitoring from their stations, it was a nightmare made manifest. Admiral Crix of the Coalition Defense Force received the alert in his comfortable office aboard Station Prime. His forearms trembled as he reviewed the sensor data. 47 Deathworlder ships, each one armed with weapons that violated 17 different Coalition treaties on acceptable warfare. The humans had developed kinetic weapons that could crack moons, nuclear arsenals that burned hotter than stars, and shield technology that laughed at the Coalition's energy-based weaponry. "They cannot be serious," Crix muttered, his translator struggling with the concept of disbelief in his species' language. They would risk war over a signal? His aide, a willowy creature from the garden world of Hessia, cowered in the corner. "The humans are not logical, Admiral. Their psychology reports indicate they form intense pack bonds. They will fight for their missing colonists as if they were defending their own offspring." Crix activated the emergency communication channel. "Deathworlder fleet, you are in violation of Treaty 7, subsection 9. Return to your designated zone immediately or face consequences." The response came swiftly. Commander Thane's face appeared on the main screen, his features sharp and predatory by Coalition standards. "Admiral Crix, we have detected a human distress signal originating from within your space. We are conducting a rescue operation. Stand aside. Impossible. There are no humans in Coalition space. Your colony ship was destroyed when it foolishly entered an unstable nebula. This was confirmed by our investigation committee." Thane's expression darkened. "Then you won't mind if we verify that for ourselves." The human fleet jumped. The physics of human jump drives horrified Coalition scientists. Where Coalition ships gently folded space, sliding between dimensions with mathematical precision, human drives tore holes in reality itself. They punched through space-time with brutal efficiency, arriving at their destination in violent bursts of radiation that sent every Coalition sensor array into overload. The human fleet materialized deep in Coalition space, directly above the planet Kepler 442b, which the Coalition had designated as Agricultural World 7. Below them, hidden beneath centuries of terraforming, lay the ruins of New Haven. Scanner data flooded the human command screens. The colony's infrastructure had been deliberately buried, covered with alien vegetation and farming complexes. But deeper scans revealed the truth that made Thane's blood run cold. Biosignatures. Human biosignatures. Thousands of them, scattered across the planet's labor camps. "They enslaved them," Torres whispered, her voice carrying the kind of rage that had once driven humans to conquer their own hostile world. They told us our people were dead, and they enslaved them. The Coalition fleet arrived within minutes, 300 ships forming a defensive wall between the humans and the planet. Admiral Crick's broadcast on all frequencies. Deathworlders, you have committed an act of war. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Thane opened a channel to his fleet. All ships weapons free. Protect the dropships at all costs. What followed would be remembered in Coalition history as the Day of Revelation. The Coalition had always assumed their numerical superiority would counter any Deathworlder aggression. They had not accounted for the sheer brutality of human warfare. Human ships didn't fight like Coalition vessels, maintaining proper distance and exchanging measured volleys. They closed to knife-fighting range, using their reinforced hulls as battering rams. The Vindicator alone tore through 7 Coalition frigates, its point defense systems turning incoming plasma, fire into harmless light while its railguns punched through shields and armor, as if they were tissue paper. Coalition soldiers watched in horror as human dropships descended toward the planet's surface. Each one carried a full complement of human Marines, soldiers who had evolved on a world where the gravity could crush Coalition bones, where the weather patterns could strip flesh, where every other life form had evolved to be a potential threat. These were not just warriors. They were apex predators descended from persistence hunters who had once chased prey to exhaustion across burning savannas. The liberation of the labor camps took less than 3 hours. Coalition guards, faced with humans in powered armor that amplified their already terrifying strength, surrendered en masse. The human colonists, 3 generations removed from their abandonment, wept as their rescuers breached the camp walls. An elderly woman, born in captivity, approached Thane as he surveyed the devastation. They told us Earth had forgotten us, that humanity had agreed we were too dangerous to exist. Never, Thane replied, his voice carrying across the communication channels to every Coalition ship still monitoring. Humanity never forgets its own. Admiral Crix, his fleet reduced by half, called for a ceasefire. The Coalition Council, observing from their core worlds, finally understood the truth they had tried to suppress for 70 years. Humans were not dangerous because they were primitive or savage. They were dangerous because they would cross the galaxy, challenge empires, and burn entire fleets to protect even a single one of their own. The peace negotiations began immediately. The Coalition, faced with the reality that humanity had held back for decades out of respect for galactic law rather than fear, agreed to every human demand. The quarantine was lifted. The truth about New Haven was broadcast to every Coalition world. And most importantly, humanity was offered full membership in the Coalition, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. Thane stood on the bridge of the Vindicator one final time before returning to Earth. The rescued colonists were aboard the medical ships, receiving care and preparing for their journey home. The signal that had started everything still pulsed on his personal display, a reminder of how close they had come to losing their people forever. Sir? Torres approached with a data pad. The Coalition is requesting guidelines for future diplomatic relations. They want to know how to avoid similar incidents. Thane smiled grimly. Tell them it's simple. Never take what belongs to humanity. Never harm those under our protection. And never ever leave one of ours behind. The human fleet jumped home, leaving Coalition space forever changed. The Deathworlders had crossed into alien domains not as conquerors or destroyers, but as protectors. And every species in the galaxy now understood that the signal that summoned the Deathworlder fleet was not a call to war, but a promise that no human would ever stand alone in the dark. The Coalition added a new entry to their diplomatic protocols that day, one that would be taught to every new species that joined their ranks. Humans are classified as Deathworlders not because of their origin, but because of their loyalty. They will face death itself for their kind, respect this truth, or face the consequences. And in the deep void between stars, humanity's message echoed clear. We are here. We remember, and we will always come for our own.